So, ratings talk, Liam. TNA debuted on October 1st in the Velocity time slot with a 7.8 rating and 850,000 viewers. Median age was 51, slightly younger than Velocity's 41, and strongest
43,
with males...
35. Wow! Why did none of us say the right number then?
What's going on with you?
You said the median age was 51, alright?
Okay.
And I went to correct you, and I said 43 while directly staring at 35.
Are we both having strokes?
I legitimately think that might have been a stroke moment. Because I was looking at 35 and still said 43.
Is it like contagious? You know when someone pukes and then it's like a chain reaction where someone else pukes? Are we having that but strokes?
I think so, because that was weird. I didn't like that my brain told me one thing and my mouth said another.
Happens to me all the time, to be fair. The median age was 35, which is slightly younger than Velocity, where the median age was 41.
Now, are the TNA fans more educated and have more money than the WWE fans?
I love that survey so much.
It's
It makes
the
people
best.
so angry.
I'm surprised people get angry at that, because like the WWE fans can't afford phones or to know how to read.
You really want to double down on that?
Yeah, fuck them. I hate them. go. They watch the wrestling equivalent of Saturday morning cartoons. You see, Roman's the bad guy because he cheated.
No, they like Roman. They think he's great. That's the problem.
Oh, sorry, they don't even understand the thing they're watching.
Yeah, because Michael Cole's like he's the greatest champion, even though he cheats with ref bumps and run-ins in literally every single one of his goddamn matches. But they still present him as if he's like this revolutionary
I
figure.
actually think they've changed it now, and now like they've turned against him as a big loser who's been cheating the whole time.
Yeah, they've finally been like he has cheated in literally every single one of his title matches in the exact same way.
Yeah, they started to change the narrative now.
TNA was strongest with males 25 to 34 with a .88, the same demo as UFC. TNA was no doubt helped by having a lead-in as the repeat strongest episode of the season of Ultimate Fighter, but the good news is that they retained viewership and the angle at the end drove up the viewership by about 23%. That figure may be slightly off, but not by much, says Dave, from the other three quarters, which is a stark contrast to Velocity, which generally lost audience as each quarter went on. So a good first number. Obviously 850,000 is about 3 to 4 times more people than were watching on FSN, which is a substantial upgrade, but it's also about 300,000 more people than were watching Velocity in the same time slot, and that audience is bigger and younger.
This is a dynamite numbers right here. Crazier demo.
Yeah, back in the good old days when young people watch TV, eh?
Yeah, but like same total as like a dynamite, it'd crush a collision rate. Jarrett over Punk makes you think.
This is the reason that should be the all-out match, or all-in.
Which one? I know which one you'd rather see.
Listen, I want my world in Wembley. That's all I want out of that show. If I get that mashup, I'm going to be so angry. Even if it requires a Grado match against Jarrett, which I'm kind of into because Grado's cool.
They should just do a 0 hour like run. So that everyone can get their music hit and everyone can go, woo.
The last time Velocity did a rating as good as TNA did was April of 2004, so over 18 months back in the past. The replay of the show on Monday night at midnight did a 0.5, which is considered a disappointment because it's a 62% from what Ultimate Fighter had been doing. But they also didn't advertise it at all. They put all their eggs in the main Saturday era.
That's a good number.
So probably the better news.
This is crazy to me. That Dave like downplays it and says pretty good news. This is crazy.
Because it is substantial conventional wisdom these days that you'll do a great number for show number 1, but
and
you'll never get back to it.
Plummet.
And like TNA didn't. TNA did a better number for show number 2.
Increased week over week. That's insane.
A pretty small demo boost, but from a 0.78 to a 0.82, and then from 850,000 viewers to 994 for week 2.
That's wild.
Which does feed into what we were saying in that they gave people a good reason to come back, and they came back in bigger numbers than they were the week before.
Yeah, people like, there's probably a lot of, this happened on the show, you need to watch it, boop, bop, beep.
Week 3, a 0.81, so more or less flat with the week before, and then 841,000, which is decently down. It was their lowest yet. But then week 4, Bound for Glory Go Home, 1.28 million viewers and a 0.9 rating on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock. Their 4th week, they did a substantially better number than their Spike TV
What the
did.
fuck is that rating? Tony Khan would kill a man. Would literally kill kill a man on his television show if he was guaranteed that.
Yeah. The show did a 1.5 among males 25 to 34. That's an audience up 52% week on week. Like, from the debut, that's 400,000 viewers more.
Wow.
So that
Jesus.
is, like, out of the gate, a runaway success.
Yeah. It's so funny that, like, in a 2023 TV environment, how much, like, money this would make for Pac.
Yeah, if they could pull those kind of demo numbers, if they could do a 0.1 or 1.5 in males 25 to 34, they would be probably, like, the biggest wrestling company in the world.
Yeah. That's wild to think. And, like, really interesting that many people can watch the product and then live events not being crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just they could not turn them into customers. And for good reason in the Russo era. And they're a little better at doing it in this era. But they just couldn't turn that into dollars and cents in the same way others could.
How could you have 1.28 million people watching your pay-per-view's not doing crazy numbers and you couldn't sell out, like, bigger arenas?
That's the thing. The arenas thing is always the bit that fascinates me. Like, how long it takes them to get out of Orlando.
Do you think if they left, like, now, like, even just for pay-per-views, they could be doing, like, 5,000 to 10,000 seaters?
Like, their first show they run is Bound for Glory 06. So we're a year away from doing their first, like, proper pay-per-view on the road. They test the waters with some house shows in 2006. Like, actual house shows. They've been doing some house shows with Hermie Sadler's company. But, like, that does, I think, like, 3 to 4. Like, it's like, there's good reason they couldn't turn these viewers into customers, because they didn't offer anything worth paying for and actively spurned them multiple times. They punished them for any time people paid money for TNA long-term, especially in the Russo eras to come. They were punished and made pay for it. But yeah, it's one of those things where you look at this audience, like, again, this is in a Saturday night 11 p.m. time slot, and they're doing 1.28 million viewers, growing the audience more or less, bar the drop for week 3, but bounced back substantially for week 4. They basically grew substantially from week 1 to week 4. Runaway success, huge, like, immediately establishes TNA as, like, a pretty credible number 2 with a decent sized audience if you go there. As I said, if you're Samoa Joe on TV now, you're being seen by multitudes more people than you've ever been seen by before. And there's a great incentive to go to TNA, especially, like, booking's pretty good these days, bar some Jeff Jarrett incited problems. But it's amazing how, like, the fate of this company flipped so dramatically from where they were in, like, May, June, where, like, they were still buying time on Fox Sports. Pay-per-views were doing okay, but obviously not enough to sustain the entire company. And then here they are on Spike TV doing, like, runaway success numbers, nearly doubling velocity in the same time slot. And it goes from strength to strength for a decent while.
Yeah, good. Then they fuck it all up.
They do fuck it all up.
The TNA story.
Yeah, it's literally ... and they fuck it all up.
That's the rise and fall of ECW-esque book, the ... and then they fuck it up, the TNA story.
Yeah, huge rating success. And again, running against, because a lot of trends these days, which didn't used to be the trends, but it's just the way TV works now, and that you will start extremely high, and then, like, Dynamite has never been watched by more people than the first episode of Dynamite. I think the same is true of, actually, the same isn't probably true of Rampage, it's probably true of the second episode of Rampage. Collision has yet to get back to the first Collision number, even though it's improved in recent weeks. Like, it's just conventional wisdom now. You'll do your best number week 1, and you won't grow. You'll find a steady state and stay there and fluctuate up and down, but you won't grow. Whereas this show grew immediately. And, like, the other one is, like, these days, if you watch a pro wrestling television show, the quarter hours will decline quarter on quarter for the show. That's just the way. If you look at Dynamite quarters, if you look at Raw quarters, maybe not SmackDown quarters, because Roman Reigns is a gigantic TV draw at the moment, so if he's put in the last segment, that segment will go way up.
But he never is, to be fair. He's always in the first, and then they do, like, the tangential bloodline guys in the final.
But if you look at the Raw quarters and the Dynamite quarters, and even, like, Collision, they always just, they trend downward for the entire show. And, like, conventional wisdom is like, why are you driving away your viewership over the entire course of a broadcast? What's happening there? But that's just the way it is now. As opposed to back in these days, you would be like, why did you start with a higher number than you finished? What's wrong with the show?
TV was still king.
Yeah, and there was less demands on people's time. It's always my thing when people are like, oh, attention spans are way down. It's like, nope, attention spans are the same. The amount of demands on people's attention spans has dramatically increased.
Yeah, I think like now there's also just a point where people get to a certain part in the night where they're like, I'm done engaging in whatever I'm engaging in. I'm going to go chuck something on demand or watch the show I've been watching. Like, there's a switch off point for a lot of people, I feel now.
Just like detach from the various demands on their attention spans and escape into nothing.
Into the thing that they have already designated time to before.
Yeah, it's the comfort.
Also, to back up that theory, that's why like the DVR numbers are crazy for wrestling. It's like that for like those collision shows, like they always hit over 1 million total once you account the DVR guys.
We all just like to fall back on the things we enjoy, and sometimes get trapped in the things we enjoy and need to break out of that because it can be a little unhealthy to always fall back on your little comforts and not challenge yourself.
Oh no.
Intervention.
I didn't realize this is what this was.
But I do find myself doing that. Anytime I'm going to rewatch The West Wing or Parks and Rec or Frasier or any of the shows that I know will just be comfort food to me. There is part of me is like, what am I trying to escape right now? And sometimes I'm like, fuck it, I need to escape right now. But other times I'm like, no, I should watch something new. I should actually actively try to challenge myself a little bit.
No.